Thinking about tricking an O2 sensor to clear that P0420? Before you touch anything, hear this. Most drivers who try it end up with a much bigger problem they never expected, and the reason why changes everything. P0420 often triggers panic because it's assumed the catalytic converter has died, and that leads many drivers down the path of quick-fix solutions. But bypassing an O2 sensor or installing a so-called defeat device doesn't solve the real problem behind that code. According to the EPA, using devices to bypass or disable emission sensors is illegal under the Clean Air Act and carries serious consequences. In this video, you'll learn what oxygen sensors really do, why bypassing them rarely works, the real risks involved, and the safe legal fixes that genuinely address P0420. If you care about keeping your car healthy and legal, subscribe now and stay until the end. 1. What O2 sensors actually do. Before we talk about bypassing anything, you need to know what these sensors control. Your engine has two main types, the upstream O2 sensor and the downstream O2 sensor. The upstream sensor sits before the catalytic converter and constantly reads how much oxygen is in the exhaust. Its signals help the engine computer balance the air-fuel mixture. If this mixture is off, even slightly, your engine can run rough, burn excess fuel, or damage the catalytic converter over time. The downstream sensor, positioned after the catalytic converter, isn't there to adjust your fuel mixture. It's there to monitor efficiency. Think of it as the quality checker. If the catalytic converter is working properly, the downstream sensor should show a steady pattern. But when both sensors start showing similar readings, the engine computer interprets that as the converter not reducing emissions effectively, which triggers P0420. This comparison is why O2 sensor tricks even exist, but knowing how the system works already reveals a problem. If both sensors behave the same, the computer knows. But that's only the beginning, because most people misunderstand why they match in the first place. P0420 is one of the most feared diagnostic codes, because most catalytic converter replacements cost between $800 and $1,500. Naturally, drivers start looking for cheaper ways to silence that check engine light. Video tutorials promise quick fixes, forums are filled with shortcuts, and many people share stories about tricking the downstream sensor to avoid expensive repairs. But here's the truth, most of those approaches don't address the real issue. People search for O2 sensor hacks out of frustration, not mechanical knowledge. And that frustration creates the perfect environment for misleading solutions. The reality is simple. P0420 rarely appears out of nowhere, and bypassing the sensor won't magically restore your engine's health. So what do these bypass devices actually do? Right, what O2 sensor bypass devices actually do? You may have seen things like O2 extenders, dummy sensors, and electronic simulators. These devices adjust or delay the exhaust readings sent to the engine computer. But here's the key point. They don't fix anything, they simply change the information the ECU receives. A bypass device cannot repair a failing catalytic converter, cannot correct a rich fuel mixture, and cannot reverse the damage caused by misfires. All it does is affect what the downstream sensor reports. It's like covering the low-oil light with tape. It hides the warning, but the problem remains. And modern ECUs are incredibly smart. They compare the frequency, timing, and pattern of both sensors. If something feels abnormal, the computer usually figures it out. That's why many bypass attempts work briefly, but fail shortly after. This brings us to the real issue, the risks almost nobody talks about. 4. Legal, safety, and mechanical risks. Tampering with or bypassing emissions equipment is not just unsafe. In many places it's illegal. Emission control systems are required by law, and altering them can lead to inspection failure, legal penalties, and even insurance complications if something goes wrong. Mechanically, the risks are just as serious. When you bypass an O2 sensor, you interfere with how the engine manages emissions. That can cause RON/VER, incorrect air-fuel ratios, poor fuel economy, long-term catalytic converter damage, higher emissions levels, new error codes, rough engine performance. And remember, if your upstream sensor is failing, or your mixture is off, bypassing the downstream sensor masks the problem while the engine keeps running in a harmful state. So, does bypass ever actually work? Surprisingly, yes, but only for a very short time. 5. The truth. Why bypass seems to work. Many drivers claim a bypass fixed their P0420. But what really happened is that they temporarily altered the downstream sensor reading long enough for the ECU to clear the code. For a little while, the computer sees acceptable data, until it doesn't. Modern ECUs continuously adapt, learn, and compare patterns. Once they notice the readings don't match the expected behavior of a healthy catalytic converter, P0420 comes right back. So the bypass seems effective, not because it fixed something, but because it delayed the detection. It's a short-term bandage over a long-term problem. And the long-term problem isn't always the catalytic converter. In fact, most people get this completely wrong. Quick reminder, if this breakdown is helping, hit subscribe so you never miss these real-world car fixes. 6. Real causes behind P0420. Here's where most tutorials fall apart. They tell you how to silence the light, but never explain what triggered it in the first place. P0420 can be caused by many issues, including raw NERC, exhaust leaks near the manifold or before the catalytic converter, a slow or aging upstream O2 sensor sending inaccurate signals, rich or lean fuel mixtures caused by dirty injectors or vacuum leaks, misfires that allow unburned fuel to enter the catalytic converter, cold engine operation on short trips preventing proper catalytic heating, dirty or failing MAF sensor altering combustion, oil consumption lowering converter efficiency. Any of these can create the same pattern that triggers P0420. So if you bypass the sensor, you're not fixing the cause, you're just hiding the symptom. Now let's look at what you should do instead. 7. Safe, legal, practical alternatives. Before even thinking about bypasses, there are safe, effective steps that often clear P0420. Use a catalytic converter cleaner if buildup is the issue. Repair exhaust leaks, especially around flanges or manifold areas. Replace an aging upstream O2 sensor, which is responsible for fuel mixture accuracy. Clean the MAF sensor to restore proper air measurement. Fix misfires caused by worn plugs, coils, or injectors. Check fuel trims to see if the engine runs too rich or too lean. Reset the ECU after repairs to allow new data learning. These methods address the real mechanical issues behind P0420, not the dashboard symbol. But what if, after all that, the catalytic converter really is the problem? 8. When the catalytic converter is truly the problem. Sometimes, after proper diagnosis, you'll find the catalytic converter is genuinely failing. Common signs include rattling sounds from inside the converter, rotten egg or sulfur smell, sluggish acceleration, overheating converter or poor fuel efficiency, high mileage wear and tear. In those cases, replacement may be necessary. And here's the truth that surprises most people. A high-quality OEM catalytic converter often lasts much longer and performs far better than a cheap aftermarket one. Bypassing cannot fix a physically damaged converter. The problem eventually worsens, and performance suffers. So after understanding everything, is bypassing worth it at all? 9. Finally, is O2 sensor bypass worth it? Here's the honest truth most people don't hear. If your only goal is to temporarily silence a check engine light without understanding the actual cause, an O2 sensor bypass might look like a simple shortcut. It may even clear the code for a short time. But the reality is that it does nothing to solve what triggered P0420 in the first place. Instead, it hides the warning while the underlying issue continues to grow. Most engines that rely on bypass tricks eventually develop additional problems. Poor fuel economy, rough performance, repeated error codes, and even premature catalytic converter failure. Modern ECUs adapt quickly, and once they detect unusual sensor behavior, the light comes back anyway. A proper step-by-step diagnosis always delivers better results than any workaround. Fixing exhaust leaks, replacing weak sensors, correcting air-fuel imbalance, or restoring catalytic efficiency provides a long-term solution that protects your engine. Bypassing isn't a repair, it's a pause button, and with engine management systems, pressing pause often means paying more later. The bottom line, you've just seen the full picture behind O2 sensor bypass tricks, what they really do, why they seem to work for a moment, and why they often lead to bigger issues down the road. The truth is simple. Your engine isn't trying to annoy you with warning lights, it's trying to protect itself. And when you understand the real causes behind P0420, you're already ahead of most drivers who jump straight into shortcuts without knowing the risks. Whether it's an exhaust leak, a weak upstream sensor, a dirty MAF, or a tired catalytic converter, fixing the root cause is always the smarter, safer, and more cost-effective move. Your car will run better, last longer, and save you money in the long run. If this video helped you understand the truth behind P0420 and O2 sensor bypass myths, make sure to subscribe, because the next videos will dive deeper into diagnosing sensors, catalytic efficiency, and real fixes that actually work. Stay informed, stay safe, and keep your engine running right.